Hey gamers, this is Local Diablo and I have another review for you. Now normally I don't do video game reviews, but in this particular instance I'm going to make the exception. And what I've got here is the Dungeons & Dragons Master Collection. So I'm going to hold this up so you can see just so for your eyes what's on this. And so I'm going to hold that up for just a moment. Now I found this at GameStop, and then it was like $20, and I had to get it. This has got well, even before what's got on here, I gotta explain the system specs on this. Now, I believe they came out with this before, but I don't think this would allow you to work for Vista 7, and especially the originals of these games would not work for Vista. Like they would stop working for Vista. And so for this will work for Vista, XP and 7. So if you had the same problem of your Baldur's Gate not working for your old Baldur's Gate not working for Vista, this will work. Also, I gotta point out that there is no code for this. There's no code. In fact, this is the whole manual to play for all the games, and for its size, they do explain enough on this. In fact, they give you websites where to go to find even more information. And you don't need the disc. Once you download it on your computer, that's it. You no longer need the disc, which is actually quite nice, because in the past you've had to actually switch out the disc. So this one will allow you to download the entire thing on here. Of course, because this is a much older game, the processor is low for computers nowadays. It's requires a Pentium 2 700 megahertz or faster. RAM is only 128 megabytes. Now, hard drive space takes up quite a bit. It actually takes up 30 gigs. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 games here that you are permanently downloading onto your computer. So the fact that that's the explanation behind the 30 gigabytes, 30 gigs that you have to 30 gigs that you have to install. So it does, the hard drive space does take up quite a bit, and I don't believe when you install this you get an option of which games that you don't want on here. Let's say if you just wanted the Baldur's Gate but you don't care about the Icewind Dale, I don't think you get that option. Though you could probably remove, yes, you definitely can remove those after the fact that you've installed it, but I don't think they give you the option prior to the install. Now, what's on here? Well, we got Baldur's Gate 1, which I don't even remember when this came out. I think this came out in like the kind of late 90s, and that pretty much, I mean, computer games were, the best games were on the computers, and this, of course, kept that alive for a little bit longer. The Baldur's Gate Tales of the Sword Coast is really just an expansion on a game, so it's not even a separate game itself. It just expands on your game and gives it, your Baldur's Gate, a much larger game within it. Now, all this stuff is using the Dungeons & Dragons system, but most of this uses the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So for gamers who've never played Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, you want to get the feel to this, or if you're not sure if you want to invest in the money. I mean, this would be, for $20 you can see how their rule system works, and it's very similar to the tabletop game. Now, different games will be more similar than others, but it keeps a pretty good feel to how the Dungeons & Dragons game feels. Now, as for graphics, because it's like you're actually looking down, So the scenery is just spectacular. It's about as good as, is today. But the little characters, the graphics for the characters are pretty bad. But because you're looking downwards on them, you don't really need the high intense graphics on it. So you don't even really notice that the graphics are bad, and it's very easy to get into. Even now, the game's still completely timeless. So like I explained, Tales of the Sword Coast is an expansion on the Baldur's Gate game. The Baldur's Gate 2, in my opinion, one of my favorite games of all time. Absolutely favorite games of all time. I was in the Marines when that game came out. Now this is, I believe, the collector's edition for Baldur's Gate 2, which, I kind of enjoy because I think with the collector's edition they maybe have had like a single shop that wasn't supposed to be in the normal game. It came in a big box set, and it cost a lot more money than the original game. And I think all it really had was like this one storekeeper in the game. So I can't be 100% confirmed that it is in fact the collector's edition, or they added that little shopkeeper in. But on the cover it's explaining that it is the collector's edition, or showing that it's the collector's edition, so I'm assuming that it is in there. The Baldur's Gate 2 was, if I remember correctly, I believe it was like the first game where you were allowed to dual wield. Now, Diablo 2 really always advertised that they were like the first game. Not true, because they may have been the first game to try it, but they take 10 years to freaking make a game. And by the time that they came out with their game, Baldur's Gate 2 already came out with the dual wielding option, which in my opinion changed the way games are being played now. Now, the Baldur's Gate 2 expansion, I don't have a lot of experience with the expansion of it, but mostly because every time I try to play it, I'm like, man, I wish I could go back, and I just I end up going back to Baldur's Gate 2. But which is cool is you can really expand, and I gotta point out, when you're playing Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, and even through all the expansions, when you're playing all those, you can take your same character through all those games. So, which is quite amazing. So it's really, in all essence, I don't even really see this as 4 different games or 2 games with 2 expansions. I see this as one large story. And by the time you get to the Baldur's Gate 2 expansion, the Thorns of Baal, by the time you get to that, your character is so godlike that it's very epic when you get into that. But when you're playing Baldur's Gate 1, I think you like max out at like, I think 7 or something like that, maybe 7 with the expansion. And so for Dungeons & Dragons that's quite low, because in the new Dungeons & Dragons system they pretty much max out, unless you go in epic, they max out at 20. Well, back in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons you can go much higher, and it was really depending on the style of class that you're doing. It wasn't so equal. Like, fighters could go up higher. Fighters can probably go up to 30 or 40 or something like that, and wizards can only go up to like 30, and they each had their separate experience level that they max out at, and was harder for them to gain up. The idea is it took more time, and it was kind of like the way for them to kind of balance out the characters, the classes. So but definitely Baldur's Gate 2 expansion is definitely, really, like I said, it's all these 4 style of games. In my opinion, I don't even see 4 style of games. I just see one game. Now, as for Icewind Dale, that I have very little experience with, because the story was nowhere near as good as the Baldur's Gate story. So it couldn't really hook me to continue playing that. But definitely, now that I've got this, I would definitely continue to try it out more. As for Icewind Dale 2, I don't believe you can bring your characters like in the Baldur's Gate, because I think Icewind Dale 2 uses the new or at least what the West End Games D20 version for characters. So for D20 rules. So with all the previous games, they actually used Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but Icewind Dale 2, I think, was really the first one to do the new style. The Planescape Torment is also on this game. Now, Planescape Torment came out, I think, shortly after Baldur's Gate came out. Now, the graphics are a little more lower key on this one, and you don't have as much options with the Torment, but it's, in my opinion, an amazing story. The Temple, and the last I'm going to talk about is the Temple of Elemental Evil. Now, if you want to truly play a game a computer game that, out of all of them, this one really shows the tabletop game, at least the closest out of all of it. I mean, when you picked an alignment, you really feel like you're playing that alignment. Like, I think I started off as like in chaotic evil alignment. No, in all the other games, you play chaotic evil, you're just playing chaotic evil. Maybe there's like a certain weapon that you can't use, but it doesn't really affect your choices in the game. You could still, you pick one class and you completely act like a completely different way. Now, when you're picking a chaotic evil and the elemental of evil, or another class, your options are completely different. In fact, I believe depending on what your charisma is, you have different text. Now, I know in Torment that's what they did. Depending on what your charisma is, you would have certain text, or what your intelligence is, you would have like certain things that you can allowed to say, or if you have like your strength is high, it might give you like a certain style of text, and that's, in my opinion, that's what made Torment really cool. But the Elemental Evil, I mean, really pushes that. And I remember, like, when you play as a good character, you like go to this, like, I think the game starts off, you go to a church, and the church needs help, and so you help them. Well, if you like play the chaotic evil, man, you don't just go to the church and help them, you burn the church down. So, and you just slaughter everybody. And that's how the game starts off. So in that one, it really shows the tabletop version, and really shows the alignments closer than any of the other Dungeons & Dragons that's ever come out. And in fact, it shows consequences a lot better than any game even out there now. And that, I would even say that including like MMOs. So this is a tremendous buy. If you've never played this, you need to get into this. If you have played this and you're looking for it because it doesn't work on your computer, you need to find this. You need to order this online. Get your hands on this. Put it and start getting some inspiration for your games. Now, if I remember correctly too, I believe in Baldur's Gate 2, I don't remember if this was in Baldur's Gate 1, you had an option, and you had to go into your computer files, but you had an option of taking your character that you've been playing and actually printing up a character sheet so that you could use them in your Advanced Dungeons & Dragons game. And I don't believe any other computer game has ever done that in the past. So, yes, you definitely need to find this. If you've never played this before, I hope I've explained enough on this. If you, and it looks like I'm running out of time. This is, this is Local Diablo, just reminding you the devil's in the details. All right, bye.